What is up, people of OAP land and Brandonlandia and anyone else? Anyways, welcome to another episode brought to you by your host, Brandon. Joining me is my beautiful co-host,
Jackie.
And joining us is a very special guest. I've been wanting to have you in here ever since I had your brother. But before that, when I found out about Aguas Maria, the first time we had it was your little... The truck was over by where Smith's used to be at.
The Big Deal Outlet.
Yeah. And we were over there. And since then, I was like, at that point, I didn't have a podcast, but I was like into getting a media company, like creating a media company. And I was like, I one day want to have her like as like a guest on something, because I knew I was heading towards a podcast at that point. But since then, I was like, okay. But then I had your brother, Israel. Yeah. Shout out to you, Israel. And he told me he was your brother. I was like, that's your sister? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, dang, that's dope, dude. I got to have her on. And he's like, do it. And I was like, but I'm super intimidated because I don't know if I should ask her. Like, I don't know, you know? And now we're here. So thank you for coming. I appreciate
Well, I'm a pretty chill person, so nothing to be intimidated about. I appreciate you having me today.
Yeah, if you want to present yourself.
So my name's Maria Sanchez. I am the owner of Aguas Maria, LLC. I have 3 beautiful children, and...
Shout out.
Yeah.
To the 3 beautiful children. So, Aguas Maria. My first... I listened to you on a podcast that was in Spanish, and you were telling your story a little bit on how you got started with Aguas Maria. What I want to know is, when did that happen, of like you deciding I want to start something on the side? Because remind me, were you working at the point when you were still with your ex, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you were working where?
At the bank. So I was in 2020. I was working at ICCU, and I loved my job. It was a hard experience with some of the coworkers I had, and I wasn't really happy there. I loved ICCU. ICCU is a great company, but I didn't have the best coworkers.
Gotcha.
And when 2020 happened, the pandemic, everybody was forced either to close their doors. A lot of small business owners closed their doors, and at the bank, we closed our doors. We were still working inside through drive-through, and a lot of things changed. My kids, my youngest was going to be 5, so he was going to start school. The other 2 were already in school, and I had my cousin babysitting them when the pandemic happened, when school shut down. So they only saw their dad, me, and my cousin that would go babysit at my house for 3 months.
Do you think that had because I don't think a lot of people understood how much that could have been for a kid as like an impact in their, especially in their developing social skills.
Yes.
How did you notice them, have
Oh my goodness. I used to get compliments all the time about how amazing my kids were. Everywhere I take them, so well behaved. Yeah. They didn't behave bad at all. They were so quiet. They knew how to behave in public. The first time I took them out, when things started opening, we didn't have summer shoes, so we went to the mall when the only certain stores opened, and I took them to the mall. And I remember parking. There wasn't a lot of cars in front of Dillard's, and as soon as I hit park, like I wasn't even open the door yet, and my kids just flew out like chickens, like wild chickens. And I was like, oh my gosh, like as a mom, you're like, they're going to get run over, and I run outside and I'm like, you guys, what is wrong with you guys? They just wanted to be out in the world and like see people. And they literally saw 3 people in their life for 3 months. They didn't see anybody else, their friends, family, nobody. So it was really hard. And I'm like, okay, that was the moment I realized I can't, this isn't fair. Yeah. Like it's not okay. Yeah. And so I made a really difficult decision to quit my job.
Gotcha.
And I want to spend more time with them and, take them out on hikes or the park or things that we could do that allowed with the pandemic. And I also, my girls were in cheer. Cheer's really expensive. Yeah. It's a luxury. It's not a need. And so in order for me to be able to afford that, I did a lemonade stand to do a fundraiser. so that they could stay in cheer.
Gotcha.
And so I decided to do 2 of them, which was in May of 2020. And it was crazy. Like, everybody wanted to go out. They wanted every excuse. And so when they saw on Facebook that I was selling lemonade and horchata and cucumber lime, everybody wanted to come. I had lines, and I sold out.
Dang.
Yeah.
So where does the idea, like, because, you quit your job to for your kids to kind of give them more of a outdoorsy experience during the pandemic. Where does it come in for you where you think about, okay, you know what, I want to do a lemonade stand? Why the lemonade stand, essentially?
I just thought that's the quickest way, that I could make some money right away. And it's the kids, the girls were dressed in their cheer outfits. I'm like, people are going to want to support them. It's for a good cause. Like, it wasn't like me to pay my bills. It was for them to
enjoy.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then I also, 8 years ago when I was pregnant with my son, I was pregnant in the summer, and I had him in August. It was all summer. I was miserable. I actually just shared a post yesterday on Facebook, my first agua fresca that I had made.
Oh, wow.
It was aguas con fruta, and ever since that day, like every day I would make a different agua fresca to keep myself hydrated and to fulfill my cravings. Because I wanted something sweet. I hardly like water. I don't like soda at all. Like, I can't stand soda. I force myself to drink water. And so I like juice. And what better way than to make your own, Yeah. So I started doing, I would take to potlucks at work or our Mexican parties that we do. I would take an agua fresca instead of taking a salad or a dessert. Yeah. I would take an agua fresca, and people would be like, why don't you sell these? And so I kind of started in 2019. I had people ask me to make them. And so that's kind of where it started. And I would take a few orders here and there on the weekends. And so that was also hard with my job at ICCU. I worked Saturdays, so I had to make sure that I had to ask for a day off. And so in 2020, a lot of people started calling me and asking me for aguas frescas. So that's where the idea of the lemonade stand, you see people do fundraisers for lemonades. Yeah. And so I was like, well, I'll do my own kick to it. I'll do pepino con limon because that's like a lemonade. Yeah. And then I did horchata because, I love horchata.
Yeah. So this is one of the questions I was really curious about to ask you. With the flavors that you have, right? I don't know how many flavors you have in total right now, but I know that you probably have more than 10 at least.
Oh, yeah. I think I've already surpassed 40 flavors.
40, Jesus.
Yeah.
So 40 flavors. Where does the recipes come from, or do you just experiment at your house and you're like, this tastes good and I
first,
like it?
It's just the regular stuff. Horchata, melon, sandia, piña, just the regular stuff that you go, and get wherever. Yeah. Later, I started experimenting with going on YouTube. Okay. And looking up recipes. Yeah. There's a lady that I found on YouTube that I look up to a lot. She started selling out of her van in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
And
that's cool.
Then later she got a storefront, and she has several stores now.
Oh, wow.
In Arizona. And so she's awesome. She gives out the recipes, shows you how to make them, everything that she does. Yeah. She makes her own ice cream. She's grown a lot. And from there, I just started making everything she would make. Every time I would get a notification, oh, she's making a new drink. Yeah. I would go watch it.
Oh, wow.
And then I got a lot of ideas from her, especially in 2020, because I would just be on YouTube a lot because we didn't go out. Yeah. And there was times I'd put the kids to bed, be washing dishes, and I'd be watching hours of YouTube of what she was making. And then when I started doing the trailer last year, I was like, I need to come up with original things me. Right. That's me. And so I just kind of, put things together. I think this sounds good. Yeah. And I've done that a lot. There's a lot that me personally, I have came up with these ideas. Wow. Original, nobody, I haven't heard. Strawberry horchata was actually my first experiment. Yeah. I had never heard of anybody making strawberry horchata.
Yeah.
But I love strawberry anything. It's not my favorite fruit, but I love strawberry anything, any flavor of strawberry. I didn't know the strawberry horchata was a thing, and I made it back in 2019, and it started selling a lot. Like that was my most popular. Still to this day, it's my most popular.
Your strawberry horchata? Interesting. Yeah, I mean, but strawberry is such a popular flavor. You know, as a fruit, I don't know how many people eat it. I know Jackie, my wife, likes to eat strawberries a lot.
Yeah.
And
not anymore.
and I never liked the actual fruit because of the little seeds around it. They just taste weird. But the flavor, like a strawberry shake, dude, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't eat strawberries, but I will eat strawberry flavored anything, like Nesquik, ice cream.
That was too sugary. That one I don't agree with. Don't get that one. The chocolate one, the Nesquik chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Best gift. You know what I got this Christmas? I got a, what are they called? Cups? Nesquik cups. And
my girls have those.
spoons.
Yes.
That's the best gift I've ever gotten for Christmas. But so you start with this lemonade stand, and then you go into becoming a student basically of this YouTuber.
Yeah.
And learning kind of some tricks and whatnot from her, to then evolving into you experimenting in your kitchen essentially, right?
Right.
Now, all of that, if you look at it from an outside perspective, it's an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Because your brother's like that too.
Right. So on my mom's side, a lot of the restaurants around here, people don't know, but they're my family on my mom's side. They're all cousins of my mom.
Oh, wow.
Like, I would say like 7 out of 10 restaurants are from Jalisco, and they're all my family.
Oh, Jesus.
So at any time they're like, oh yeah, this restaurant. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my uncle, that's my aunt. You know, people don't
Like which one?
Jalisco's, that's my mom's uncle.
Oh, really?
I mean, not uncle, cousin. El Herradero, that's my mom's cousin. It used to be Tres Hermanos in American Falls, that's her cousin.
Oh, wow.
The 2 in Blackfoot, El Mirador, that's her cousin.
Oh,
He's a brother of Jalisco's.
Okay.
Trying to think.
So is the 2 Jalisco's that are around here, are they the same owner?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe right now my uncle and his son are my cousin. Yeah.
Yeah, I contacted them.
Yeah.
They, whatever. We're not going to talk about that right now. No, but they're cool. We're supposed to schedule.
Vinny's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're supposed to schedule a podcast, but we just lost connection there. Maybe it'll happen after this.
Yeah, hopefully. That'd be awesome.
So you have like an entrepreneurial family then.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah, my whole family, I feel like on my mom's side, they do some kind of restaurant or
business.
Yeah, business.
So
they're all got business mindsets.
So that's where you. What about your dad? Because that's your mom's side. What about your dad's side?
My dad, it's kind of a funny story. So they've always explained it to me, like when I was younger. My mom married. She always says, "Yo no soy presumida." Like she doesn't think she's all that, and she feels like a lot of the family married into like each other,
Okay.
So that way they would keep the money and the reputation and all of that, the same status.
Yeah.
My mom went and married out of her status. So my dad was very poor. He grew up in a big family of 10.
Oh, wow.
So my mom's always been like a go-getter.
Yeah.
And my dad came here to the United States while we were in Mexico to work and send money to her. And we weren't making it.
Oh, wow.
And I remember my mom, we would make tostadas, we would make jellos.
Yeah.
We would make whatever we could just so we could get by.
Oh, wow.
And she has a very entrepreneur mindset as well because of her mom. My grandpa comes from a wealthy family too, but he had a mental breakdown when he was like in his late 20s. And it left my grandma raising 5 kids by herself. He was always in bed. I remember as a little kid, like we'd go visit them, and he would be in bed more than half the day.
Oh, wow.
My grandma would take care of him, and he was always medicated. He didn't work. I've never known him to work.
Really? In his 20s? That's insane. That must be rough. That's more than half your life.
So my grandma became the town seamstress.
Okay.
And not only that, I mean, she has a lot of support. A lot of her brothers and sisters have helped. I know my aunt, she passed away already. She helped raise my mom.
Yeah.
Like my mom would call my aunt, my great aunt and uncle, like her parents too, because they helped raise her. They did a lot for us.
Yeah.
They lived in Blackfoot, and I mean, I feel like they're my second cousins.
Yeah.
But I see them as my first cousins because I grew up right next to them.
Right.
Yeah. And so my grandma had to support her 5 children and her husband by herself. And I feel like my mom's the only daughter too. She has 4 brothers. I have 4 brothers. And so she saw that, and she did the same thing with us. When my dad was gone, when he was here in the United States and we were in Mexico, she did the same thing. She did whatever she could to get us to by.
Yeah.
She would send me to the neighbors. They had cows, and she would say, "Hey, like, see if they have cheese. If you can go for them and sell cheese house to house." So I remember I was like maybe 5 or 6, and I was selling cheese house to house, or eggs.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's important to teach your kid? I mean, even if you come from a wealthy family, I should say, I think it is still important to teach them kind of that grind of learning how to, how to put yourself out there and sell something, or put yourself out there and teach yourself how to get something, from work essentially. Because I think nowadays, like, you have three kids, and I'm sure with us having our first, it's kind of scary how everything's so simple for kids now, and how it's so simple for them to get everything.
Right.
That grinding mode essentially can get lost.
Yeah. So I think it's very important. I read like a quote one time. It wasn't very long ago. It said, "My grandpa walked to school. My dad rode a horse to school.
Yeah.
I drove a car to school. My son drives a Corvette to school.
Yeah.
And then his son's going to drive, like a better car.
Right.
And then, but his son will be back to walking."
Yeah.
Because you make it easier for your kids. You always say, "I want to make them have a better life than I did," but you also can't forget to show them how to get there.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's important because in the Hispanic community, right? I don't know so much about the other communities or other races, but I know that in the Hispanic community, it's very much so that people say that, right? Like the parents say, "No, I want to give my son a better life, my daughter a better life. I'm gonna do everything I can for them." And yes, that can all be nice and comfortable, and I can be like, okay, yeah, I agree with that, right? You can agree with that, but I do think that there has to be a balance of teaching them also how to be independent, and teaching them how to
absolutely
work for their coin essentially, because you don't want to just give everything to them. I think that's scary. Back to your dad and your family. So you were born in Mexico?
Yes.
What part?
Jalisco.
Oh, okay. Yep. I mean, I should have guessed that with your cousins. Man. But so Jalisco, when you moved over here, how old were you?
I was 9.
9. How was that as a shock? Did you have like a culture shock, or was
Oh,
there
for
not
sure.
really?
Yeah, I did not want to move over here because everybody talked about how horrible the United States was.
Oh,
how
really?
open, open they were about everything. And in Mexico, like, I lived in a little ranchito, like a little town. There was probably 150 people there.
Oh,
So
that's
tiny,
small.
tiny. Everybody knows each other's
Is that
business.
how it is for you too, babe? When you go over there, like your ranchito?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super
there's
tiny.
a lot of little towns.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's gotta be rough.
It's very small, so everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows their business. I know that anytime anybody had left and we didn't see them again, we'd say, "Oh yeah, they ruined their life. They're this and that," and personally, I saw like my mom's brother came here and he divorced my aunt, like his wife. He divorced her and came over here, And so my cousin would be like, don't leave to the United States. Your parents are going to get divorced. Like, because that doesn't happen over there.
Right.
There's no divorce. There's no, like...
No getting away. It's
yeah,
like there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's
wow.
Like everything over here is so open. Like you talk about all these things that over there you're just not allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
You know? And so they're like, yeah, it's scary. It's going to ruin you. And they would tell me, don't move, don't leave. And I didn't want to come.
Wow. Because of that.
Yeah.
You were just like,
yeah.
It was more so the fear that you got kind of put into you than actually the fear of coming over here. In a sense, it was more so like, oh man, things can happen.
Right. And I think every person adjusts different to situations. Like I adjusted very well. Right. Within a year, I was already speaking English.
Oh, wow.
But I also tried.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person like the teacher speaks and they ask a question and sometimes it's not even redirected to the class. Like it's not directed to for you to raise your hand. And I'd always be like, it's orange. Or tomorrow. Or, I'd always be like the one answering. And everybody else is like, ugh, like why does she have to talk all the time? Why does she have to be heard?
Have you gone back since
I have not.
You have not?
I am right now in the process of getting my residency.
Oh, cool.
I received, thank you. In March, I received my letter saying that I could leave the United States for now, like
freely.
Yeah.
Come back.
And I can come back. It's it's called, I always forget the word. But you can only leave once and then come back.
Okay. Yeah.
But I just took all my shots and had blood work done for my medical exam Monday.
Wow.
So I'm just waiting.
Recent.
Yeah, yesterday my test came back. Thank you. And my test came back, and so I just have to send it to my lawyer. She has to send it to immigration, and I'm hoping I can hear from the next month or two.
What was that feeling like of like getting your letter of residency and saying, hey, you know what, you're good. You're like you don't have to worry about anything anymore.
I never thought it would happen.
Right.
Turning 18 was the worst thing of my life. Like I was waiting to be 18 for a long time, and then figuring out you can't even go. Get a job. You can't get a job. Nobody will hire you because you don't have an ID. And I'm like, well, how are all these people getting jobs like illegally? And I just was like, I can't even get illegal because I don't even have like a thing saying I have like a picture, any ID with a picture on it. And I said, well, I know I can't get my driver's license, but I'll still go to the DMV and see if they'll give me an ID. They wouldn't even give me an ID.
Yeah, it's hard. I know what that feels like because I'm going through that still. I was going to say I have been going through that, but I am going through that.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, I mean, for me, it's like an ID should not be such an issue to not get,
Yeah.
It should be one of those things where I don't know why it's not legalized, maybe I'd have to talk to a politician to figure that out, but to me, I'm like, you should just let that kind of be legal. That way, the state's getting money out of it, and two, you're having people drive legally, which means that there's going to be more laws to be enforced on those people like myself and others. So for me, that one has never made sense, but I know how that feels like. So I can imagine
I left my house 2 days after I turned 18, and I tried to go get a job. I couldn't get a job. It also cost a whole bunch of things to happen because I was illegal. I felt a lot of people took advantage of me because they're like, oh, well, she can't do nothing about it, or I can just threaten her, or she'll listen to me. She's just scared. She's not gonna say anything.
It's hard. It's hard because you can see a lot of people working in situations like that, and the worst part is though that you see like these people, these people work in situations like that are older, and I'm 21, so I think to myself, I haven't given up hope on that yet. I'm still very hopeful with things that can work out. So I see those older people, and I'm like, man, like I can tell that you don't have any more hope with your situation. Like you've just accepted to be here. Yeah, that's very sad to me. That's always been super sad. Yeah. But away from that movement, that moment. So then you got married. Are we cool? We touch on that subject?
Yeah, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know it can be touchy. But so you got married, and then in the podcast I was listening to, I know you got divorced, and he said some stuff.
Yeah.
What was kind of the situation there when not in the beginning of the relationship, obviously, but towards the end of the relationship when you start to notice things go downhill, and the things that he said, how did that help you out to keep going forward?
So a lot of people don't know I've been married twice. The first time, it was right when I turned 18. I got married.
Oh, wow.
That's why I left my house at 18. He was a U.S. citizen. He was half Hispanic and half white, but he didn't I guess practice his Mexican
Okay,
heritage.
so he was like a more white boy then.
Yeah. He didn't even speak Spanish at all. Very abusive in every single way.
Wow.
So that ended right away. Still to this day, I'm like, I can't believe I got out. I don't know. I think I've just always had an open mindset that you shouldn't stay somewhere where it's not okay.
Right.
I didn't know, like, I didn't believe in divorce either. And I remember the last time, like the day that I made the decision to leave, I told him, I gave him the knife that he was pointing at me, and I said, you know what, just kill me.
Wow.
There's no more to my life, like I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. And he said, are you threatening me? Like, are you telling me to kill you so that because you're going to call the cops on me?
Oh, he took it the complete wrong.
Yeah, and I was like, what? And he's like, oh, you better not even think, like, it better not even go through your head that you're going to threaten me. He's like, because I will have your mom and dad deported. My two little brothers, they were born here. They're U.S. citizens. My other two brothers were born in Mexico with me. And so us three older ones were illegal. And he said, you will get deported with your mom and dad and your two brothers. And then the other two, he's like, you'll never see them again. They'll go through the system
Christ.
and you'll never see them again. And they'll get separated. And you guys will all get separated and you won't even know. I was 12 when Israel was born, 13. Isaac was born when I was 12 and Israel was born when I was 13. So I was older. They were little. I raised them. My mom and dad opened their business, their taco truck, and I was raising them.
Yeah.
So to me, I took that personal. They were my kids.
Yeah.
I always, one of them called me mom all the time until he was like 5, and my mom was like, no, that's not your mom. I'm your mom.
Yeah.
But, so I took it personal when he said that. I'm like, you know what? You can threaten me all you want, and you can do whatever you want. You can even kill me, but you won't do it to my family.
Right.
And that's the moment that I was like, I'm going to make him believe that I'm going to stay here. I'm going to make him believe that everything's okay. And I'm going to make a plan on how I'm going to get out. And I just acted like the cheating, the abuse, everything was okay. And I started putting money in my shoe for a week.
Oh, wow.
Like tips at work. And I had my first my tax return that came in. We put it away because we were going to buy a car together. It was my money. He didn't work. But I knew where it was. And I went and took it. I ran off with $1,000. It was not a lot. To me, I thought it was a lot of money back then. And maybe $200 in my shoe.
Jesus.
But yeah, I took off and I left, and I was like, that's not okay. Like that he's not gonna do nothing to my brothers. My parents, like they don't deserve this. Especially because of me. Yeah. And then, I got remarried. There was never any physical abuse or sexual abuse or with money or anything like that. Yeah. It just, we didn't want the same things in life anymore.
Gotcha.
And so.
That's hard, I feel like. Yeah. It's a hard thing. Like we touched that on the podcast a lot. I think where it's like when you get in the stage of wanting to be with someone and marrying someone, it's very important to have kind of like the clear mindset of where you want to go together and what's the things that you guys want to do together. And I don't think you have to do everything together, but have a balance where, okay, if you want to start a business, I'll support you. Yeah. But also stay true to your word of support, Right. Don't just say, I'll support you, and then 2 weeks later when he's or she's working late, you're going to get pissed off, Right.
So. Yeah, I think people get comfortable and they're okay with being comfortable, and there's other of us that are not.
Yeah.
We don't get comfortable. Like, we're okay with growing and doing more for ourselves. And I know I read a lot all the time. And so maybe sometimes it's just scrolling through Facebook or, or TikTok or listening to things. I listen to podcasts. It's okay to end a relationship and not be like, well, it's because he did this or she did that.
Right.
There was abuse, there was this, there was that. Of course, those things happen. But it's okay to also leave a relationship and be like, it ended because we just didn't want the same things in life.
Yeah. And I think that's a way healthier way to end it too,
Yeah.
So how was that?
Sometimes they don't accept it.
Yeah, that's their deal, though, I feel like. How was that when you came up to him and told him that? Because at that point, had you already started your business, or was it before?
No, it was right before. So I always say, to me and my person, when somebody knocks you down or they tell you that you're not doing good, or they don't give you compliments, or they don't, they just try to lower you.
Yeah.
They say bad things to you so that you feel bad about yourself. Every time somebody does that to me, I can go maybe a day or two where, like, it breaks me down, it makes me feel bad about myself. But after that, I just, like, get up quick and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna do better. Like, it just, like, it fuels my fire. Like, it makes me think I am not what you tell me I am.
Right. What did he say exactly?
So I had been selling, I don't know, maybe a week or two outside my house, and I sold out for the first time. And I knew, like, I had so many people messaging me, like, what are you going to have today? What are you going to have? What time? What's your hours? So I knew inside that there was going to be, like, a big line, that I was going to have a lot of sales that day. I had a box of shoes that I would use for the money, to put all the money in. It was a red box, I remember. And then Idaho gets windy. Well, every time I'd open the box, the 4 flaps would just flap open and the money would, start flying away. And I remember chasing the money and I was like, no, I need a box, like a better box.
Right.
And that morning I went to go get all the stuff that I needed to make my drinks. And I was like, I'm going to go check it out and see if they sell anything like that. So I looked at Walmart. There was a $19.98, a little cash box that I still use to this day at my store. Like, I'll never get rid of it because that's the reason I am here where I'm at.
Right.
That was just, like, the day that it made me, like, just, it was
made
like
it
a
real.
bright light. Like, I got to do this.
Yeah.
I bought that box, and I remember he would always get home right at 5:30. I would be open till 7 outside at my house. He got home at 5:30, and before he walked in the door, I said, hey, will you come over here? Will you come help me? And he's like, for what? And 3 cars were pulling up.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, I'm sold out. And he's like, okay, so what do you want me to do? And I said, can you help me? Help me clean up. Let's take these back inside. And I had my little box, and I was so proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was $20. Like, it wasn't nothing, but I was so proud of it. I was like, I bought a little box. And I didn't say nothing to him. I just had it. And he looks at me and he's like, what is that? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, yeah, what is that? And I'm like, well, it's to put the money in it. And he goes, oh, what did you buy that for? Like, it's not like you're a big entrepreneur or anything.
Oh, wow. What a dick.
And he was opening the door to the house, and I was like, I just looked down and I turned around, and a tear fell down my face, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I just sold 6 jugs, like, completely out, and I had to tell 3 people, I'm sorry, I'm sold out.
Yeah.
Like, maybe
That's
tomorrow.
hard. Yeah.
And I'm like, why is he not proud of me?
Yeah.
Like, what did I do wrong? Why can't he say, good job, or I'm proud of you, or I'm glad you've been doing good? But no, he tried to tear me down.
Why do you think he did that?
He felt like he wasn't a man because he always saw that I was always providing for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes even more than what he was making.
Right.
And so he always wanted to be, like, he had that machista mindset that he had to be the one that provided for us.
Oh,
And so in my head, I'm like, my mom's always pulled through for us. My grandma always did too. Like,
you know what's
we
interesting?
live different.
Is that I can see why people feel like that. Like I can see why, like a man feels like that. I'll tell you why. Because she was working at Melaleuca. Oh fuck! I just said the name. Whatever. Don't sue me. She was working at I just said it. A couple months ago, I think. And to me, in my head, I was like, man, like, at one point she's gonna earn more than me, and she's working like this nice job, and I'm over here like in construction, right? And the reason why it made me feel like the ego machista mindset, where I would be like, almost in an envious way, was because I couldn't do that, right? Not because I'm not smart or whatnot, but because legally I can't. So, but I recognized it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, dude, that's not right. Like, just because she has a better job than you with more of a potential future to it, doesn't mean you have to take it in a way where it affects you.
Right.
Like, you're still, you still play your part in this relationship as a man, you know? And as a man, it's not your job to take your spouse's opportunities away and take what she's creating or what she's building for you guys, essentially. Take it down. That's not what a man does. A man, yes, provides, right? But it's also the man of the household, right? He protects, takes care. That's what a man kind of really is. But what was hurting was the ego, right?
Right, yeah.
And that's where men, I feel like, kind of get fucked over because they don't recognize that ego. But I recognized, and I was like, ego.
Yeah.
Because for the longest point, I was the one earning more, right? But for me to know that, okay, maybe 6 months from now, a year from now, she's working there still, she'll earn the same more and more. That's where the ego conflict came in, right?
Yeah.
So I can see where he
Yeah,
kind of
that's where our situations, or like our relationship, started going down. Like when I went back to work, at first it was at home.
Yeah.
I was babysitting. I had a whole daycare at my house. Had like 12 kids.
Jesus.
I know, it was like unheard of. I'm like, I don't know how I did it because I can't handle 3 anymore. But I was making almost as much, if not more, than him doing that. But he never saw that.
What does he do? Construction?
He does construction now, yeah. He was working on the farm back then.
Okay.
And then he does construction now. Then I went to Wendy's. His construction, he did cement for a little bit. And, in winter, it was 7 years ago, where it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was like negative 40 degrees outside, so they couldn't pour cement.
I mean, if it was 8 years ago, I was 13.
It would have been, yeah.
I don't remember.
It was like 7 years ago, yeah, because my son would have been, he wasn't 1 yet when he started doing that. And he didn't have a job. He got laid off for a few months. I used to work for Wendy's, and I went through the drive-thru one day, and they're like, "We'll hire you back right now if you come in." And they would always, every time I'd go in. And I was like, I actually need a job right now. Like, I need help.
I wonder why men don't take that and like are proud of that though. I think it just comes down to their ego being too big and not necessarily like their ego as in what they think of themselves. Maybe it does have a part to play, but more so like, oh, what is my dad gonna think of me? What is my mom what's the family gonna think that she's providing instead of me?
It makes you less of a man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's how we grew up with that mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I did that for a little bit. I went to Wendy's. And I was like, wow, he's an amazing husband.
Yeah.
I would come home and I'm like, the house is cleaner than when I was taking care of it. The kids were fed. He had food on the table.
He was a good stay-at-home dad.
He would even pack me lunch sometimes.
Ah, shit.
And I was like,
dang.
But that only happened for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And then his situation got better. And he's like, why aren't you leaving? I'm going to go back to work. And I said, no, like the kids are old enough. My oldest was going to school. And I found somebody that would start babysitting for me. And it was across the street. It was a family member of his. So I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to not stop.
Right.
To stop working. And it just went down. And at first it was like, okay, whatever. Well, I had been working at Wendy's for maybe a month, and I got pulled into the office, and they asked me if I would take a manager position.
Okay.
And I was like, that doesn't happen with employees around here, that quick. So got home and I was super happy, and I was like, I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, guess what? They asked me to be manager. And he's like, oh yeah? And how much are they gonna pay you? And I said, they're gonna start me at like $9.25. And he goes, you might as well go pull potatoes out of the fields. They start you at $10 over there.
Jesus Christ.
And
this guy.
I was like, instead of being happy for me,
Right.
and I was like, whatever, I'm not gonna listen. I took manager position. I was a manager for 6 months. I saw on Indeed there was a better opportunity for getting like a office job doing loans for $10.50, and then they gave you insurance and all kinds of benefits that Wendy's didn't have. And I was like, I'm gonna go there. He wasn't happy about it.
Jesus.
And
this
then
guy.
and then it wasn't like it started becoming a problem. But then when I saw ICCU was hiring, I always wanted to work for ICCU. I thought ICCU was an amazing company. I banked with them, and I loved walking in there and the way they made me feel. And so that was my goal in life, to work for ICCU. And having this experience from doing loans, I was like, they're going to hire me right away. So as soon as my situation with my status changed, like I got a U visa, when it got accepted, I went over there and I asked for a job.
That's that. You know what? what you did there is exactly what I'm gonna probably do too. Whereas like I'm just waiting for because I've always wanted to work in a bank, like forever, and I just love I just love the business world in a sense. But I'm like, the first thing I'm gonna do when that happens is I'm gonna go there. And I don't know what bank, whoever wants to hire me, I guess. But yeah, that's one of the things I'm like, man, I want to do that so fucking bad. Because I've been painting for like, I don't know, almost 10 years now. Yeah. So it's just like the same thing over and over. And I'm like exhausted about it. But that's not the point here. I want to ask you, when your heat was like, relationship going downhill, and the box thing comes up, how long after that did you get your trailer?
I waited maybe like 6 months.
Oh wow.
Because it was after 3 months of him saying those words to me, and my social media blew up. I made a Facebook page, like a business page. I was people that I didn't even know who they were calling me, texting me, messaging me, making orders, and I'm like, this could be my life. Cool. I didn't think nothing of it. I never thought I was gonna do Aguas Frescas as my business. I always thought it'd be cool to do a business, but I didn't know what. I definitely didn't want to do a restaurant because I got tired of that. I was managing my parents' taco truck since I was 13 years old. Oh, wow. They don't speak English, so I was doing all the orders. Anybody that would come talk, I would be like their representative. Even over the phone after I moved out, I was still doing a lot of it for them. So I'm like, I know how to run a business. I don't.
You found your thing. That's kind of cool how you found your thing as like over time.
It was kind of like something that just fell in my lap. Honestly.
I feel like that. You know why I feel like that happened? Because so many things happened in your life that were not good, that were kind of bad. That I don't know if you believe in God, but I do, and so I just believe that God was probably like, here's your break. Yeah. Take it, use it, and explore it, and see what happens with it, and then things just start to go. Exactly. How long after you got your truck did you get your store?
6 months.
So 6 months after?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So 6 months. So this is coming up June 15th. I did a grand opening. Today's what, June 10th?
Yeah. In 5 days you're going to have a year?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So June 15th.
It's already been a year?
Yep. It's been June 15th. I opened the trailer.
Oh my gosh.
And I did a grand opening. I got all my licenses, everything ready so that I could do events, so I could go around. I was still working at another bank. I changed to a different bank. Yeah. And I just kept thinking So I wasn't working when I was doing the Aguas at the house first, because I had left my job at ICCU to be with my kids. And 3 months after like that happened with him, it would have been like October. I told him, I was like, you know what, I'm done. Like I want to get divorced.
How did he take it?
And he just thought I was mad at him.
Oh, so he was like, she's gonna get over it.
Yeah, he didn't think I was real, like that it was real.
When you handed him the paper, who handed the paper?
I did.
What? How?
And it took months.
For him to like accept it?
Yeah, no, like it took months for me to do it too, because I asked him in October for the divorce. September 27th was our 8-year anniversary of when we got married. And I was like, dude, he's never even known when our anniversary is, first of all. And he doesn't care, like he doesn't even know how many years we've been married. He doesn't, like, to him it wasn't important. And to me, anniversaries are, like, I remember dates like I'm a freaking calendar. So for him, like, to not acknowledge that we had been together for 10 years, but married for 8. And I'm like, he doesn't even know that we had an anniversary. And I waited, and I was like, maybe this year will be different. Like, his Facebook memories are going to pop up, because I always tag him, happy anniversary, babe, you know. Nothing. Like, it didn't mean nothing to him. And I'm like, marriage is, like, the most important, to me back then, I was like, it's the most important life event in your life, you know. And for him not to acknowledge it, like, I was upset. And I asked for the divorce, and he's like, I don't think that's what you really want. And then after like maybe a month or two, I said, well, we need to stop sleeping in the same room. Like, I don't want you in my room. And then, he started sleeping in a separate room. And another month went by. I think it was in February when I was like, okay, I got to make this real. Like, in November, I went to look for a job because I knew I wanted a divorce. Yeah. And I had told him always, I'm never going to press child support on you. Like, I will never. I'm like, if we ever separate or it doesn't work out, I will never ask for child support. I can take care of my own. I always told him that. And so I was like, I got to get like a job. Like, that's going to support me. So I had to look better than ICCU. I had to look somewhere else that would give me better than ICCU so I could support my kids. And so I did. I got hired right away with Waffed Bank, and I don't know if we're supposed to say names, but...
Oh, shit. If we, guys, listen, no suing, please. All right?
There's nothing bad to say about them. I love the experience.
Good. We love you guys all.
Yep, I love the experience.
That's funny.
And I was grateful that they took me. And I was working. He was like, how are you going to do it? Like, how are you going to, who's going to take care of the kids? And I'm like, don't worry about it. I got to figure it out. And 2 months went by, and I was like, I got to make this real. So I went to the courthouse. I got the papers, and I'm like, we were civil. We never were a couple that screamed at each other or fought like crazy. Like, my mom and dad are. So I'm like, how do you guys like each other when you scream at yourself like that? But no, like, we always had a pretty chill relationship. It was always like smooth. we never had like really ups or really downs. Like, it was pretty steady. And I thought we'll get along good. Well, we can do this in a way that it's not going to hurt the children. Like, we'll do the best that we can for them. And when I took those papers over to him, he was just like, oh, shit. Oh, really?
Like a real bomb.
Like, yeah. And he's like, are you for real? I thought you were just upset. And I'm like, no, it's really, like, I've been telling you for 4 months now. And he's like, no, this isn't happening. And the next words that came out of his mouth was like, you're looking for a fairy tale that's never going to happen. That doesn't exist. Jesus. Like, nobody's going to treat you the way you keep asking me to treat you. And I said, just because I asked you to remember a date or to ask you to support me when I'm doing something good, like, treat me good. Like, in 10 years, you've never told me I look pretty. And
wow.
I'm like, I walk in the bank and there's all these guys lined up to tell me that I'm pretty. And I'm like, and it doesn't mean nothing to me. I want to hear it from you. And
Nothing.
nope. He's like, you're
Oh my
just,
goodness.
it's not. Like, it's not.
That's a lot to take in. Jesus. Holy
So remember,
shit.
always tell your wife she's pretty.
Oh, I do. No, I think, I think that comes with, men being gentlemen and men knowing how to be a gentleman. And sadly enough, I don't think a lot of people get taught that, and I don't know why, but,
Yeah.
it is what it is, I guess. I mean, shit, if you're fucking listening to this, dude, learn how to say you're pretty once in a while. And
Well,
support the person who you're with. I mean,
he'd never say a compliment to me, but anytime there was something wrong, he always made sure to point it out.
Yeah, I'm starting to think this guy has some real
Issues.
going on inside him that maybe maybe I could recommend to my therapist. Maybe you could go check her out and see what goes on there, because I think a lot of it comes from that more than anything. I think it's more so people are so severely damaged from childhood.
Yeah.
And by people who they probably love the most, like parents, aunts, uncles, people like that family, that when they get older, and they get into these relationships, they can hurt other people more.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
I think for him, it was mostly like his self-esteem. He had a really low self-esteem. And a lot of people would tell him all the time, the day we moved in together, I remember his friends would say, well, good luck with that apartment. I bet you're gonna end up keeping it yourself. I don't know how you scored so high. Like, how'd you got her? And I've never been a shallow person to look at the person's looks. To me, looks mean nothing to me. Like, I've never thought
I will say though, your boyfriend has a pretty sick ass. What do they call it? Beard? Yeah. Now that guy, I like that guy. No names though. I won't say no names. Because I don't know what's gonna happen. But hey, you know who you're talking about. That guy has a nice ass beard. Yeah, I wish I could grow a beard. Fuck. I can't though. I just grow peach fuzz.
But I learned.
Yeah.
I definitely learned. Not just like with him. I was in another relationship after that, and then I went back and reflected on like my relationships, why they haven't worked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've always been with men that didn't have good self-esteem. And when you're with somebody, like if you have good self-esteem and then you're with somebody that doesn't have self-esteem, they're going to bring you down.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it doesn't matter what they look like. It's if they don't feel right about themselves, like they're going to bring you down.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very important, and people don't talk about it a lot. Like, be with somebody that feels good about themselves.
Yeah, and you know what's sad too is like a lot of times it's like, they sometimes the person who is low about their self-esteem says that to their partner, and they know it's wrong, but they don't care.
Yeah.
They just let it.
Yeah.
Whatever. I already said it. And if you don't think about that, it's hard to kind of think about it and actually say, you know what, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you saying these things?
Yeah.
Someone's getting a phone call. It's not me. Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, I'm glad though that you reflected on that and caught on to it, because I think it's a very important lesson, especially for females. I feel like, females sometimes don't look at those things. They kind of just like, whatever.
Yeah.
He's gonna get over it, or he's gonna get better, and then they don't, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, we think like if it was good in the beginning, that we'll always go back to that. But no, it just keeps like it gets worse and worse. If there's something you don't like in the beginning,
talk about it.
yes, because it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah,
it doesn't get better. So,
and as a man, and I think as a female too, if you're going through some shit like that, like you're like yesterday, for example, this is a good example. I feel like yesterday we were going on a date, and we were walking down the stairs, and I'm insecure about how I look right now, right? Because I want to lose weight, but I'm not doing what it takes to lose weight. I'm working out, eating semi-healthy, but it's not enough for me to lose weight. So for me to, in my head, make it right that it's okay for me to look this way, I told her, I said, so if I look like, at first I asked her, do I look fat? And she's like, no. And then I'm like, so if I look like this at the baby shower, like, you'd be cool with it? And she's like, yeah. Of course, to her, she loves me for who I am, and she doesn't really care if I'm big or not. I mean, if I get super big, then I'm sure she'd care. But like right now, I don't think she really cares. But I used her to make myself feel better in a way, and
validate yourself,
and validate myself when I know that I want to lose weight for myself, and that I don't feel good, right? My self-esteem is down.
Yeah.
But because I don't want to accept and acknowledge that I'm not following my diet, that I'm not doing what it takes to do that, I'm instead using her.
Yeah,
right?
You're waiting for her to validate that it's okay, even though you don't feel good about yourself. You want to be like, well, if she's okay with it, then I'm
gonna be okay with it. And that's a fucking problem, right? Because 4 months down the road, when I stop working out and I get lazy again, then I'm gonna be almost in a sense upset at her, right? I'm gonna think that she doesn't love me or doesn't like me because I'm this and that. So you have to catch on to those little things. But as far as business goes, just to kind of finalize it here, what's your business mindset as far as like how do you want to grow your business? If you want to tell that, some people don't want to talk about like their business strategies. But how do you want to grow your business? Because obviously you went from selling outside your house. 6 months later, you bought a trailer. Went very well. 6 months later, you got a store.
Yeah.
Now, what's the next step, and how do you expand?
Yeah. So I don't know. In my head, it felt like it took so long because I was so busy every single day, and it was like every day I was working all these crazy hours. That when I went and signed the lease, they asked me, "Well, how long you been in business?" And I'm like, "Oh, I think it's been like 9 months." And then I go back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I went full time in July.
Yeah.
So that's only 6 months away.
Yep.
And I was in shock with myself. I'm like, I didn't even like think twice to open a store. Right. Not even like for the trailer, it took me months because it's like, how am I gonna leave? What if it doesn't work out? I was so scared. And like I always see people say, when you're the most scared, that's when you jump. Yeah. And it's absolutely correct. Yeah. Like, don't let anything take you back. Like, when you're scared, do it. Yep. Do it, because you're not gonna get more comfortable, one day. Yep. If you don't do it, you don't know if it's gonna work out or not. And I'm still learning right now. I still don't know if it's gonna work out or not. You guys may all think like, oh, she's doing amazing. It's working out for her, and I'm over here like, what am I supposed to do next? I'm barely paying my bills. My bills are getting paid, but like there's no extra money. But I know that's how it comes at first. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes that's like the big. People say that people who are successful, like multimillionaires or people who have gained a lot of wealth, they say that the best part of building something is going through that rut. Yeah. Right, which is like what you could be going through right now, where maybe you don't have the luxury to spend on a lot, but the cool thing about it is that you're working for yourself, you're building yourself something, and you're doing something that one day could tenfold back and give you so much more than what it is giving you now. Whereas if you stay in a job, you hit a ceiling point, and dude, what do you do next? You're so stuck there that and sometimes it takes thousands of dollars to go into debt to be able to see the other side of the grass, or whatever they say it is. It's the other side of the fence. Is that the other side of the fence? Yeah. Where the grass is always greener. Yeah, something. That's like what you meant. Yeah, I got what you were saying. Quotes. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, and like you said, if you don't jump and do it, you'll never. Yeah, you'll never know. And to answer your last question, I mean, right now I'm just going with the flow, seeing how it goes. I want to open more stores. Hell yeah. I want to franchise. I have several people that have asked me, like, away from here that are not here in Idaho. Hey, like, I want part of your business. Like, what is it going to take? And I'm like, just let me grow a little bit. Let me, because consistency is honestly what makes your business. Yep. I want to, like, emphasize on that, how consistency, it's the most important thing to make your business grow. Yeah. If you're not consistent, like people are gonna come in. Oh, well, yesterday was like this. How come today's like this? Or how come yesterday you charged me this? Or how come today you charged this? Or it was better the other day, but not today. Or how come I didn't get treated this way last time? People want to see the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. And it must be too, like I have low somewhere in the back OCD that I'm always like, I say low, but everybody that works with me, they're like, yeah, Maria likes it this way only. Like, you got to make sure it's a quarter of an inch, always. It can never be different. Everything that I do, I always do the same. And so I want to be able to get people like the work for me to understand that. And I want to be able to trust people because it's so hard when you own a business. It's like having a baby.
Right.
Like you don't trust anybody in the first year, so you don't trust anybody with your baby.
Yeah.
Because it's your baby, only you know what's best for it.
Right.
Even if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But every day you learn. I want to expand. I want to franchise. I want to be able to leave it, be able to say, hey, this is how many cups you add and no more than that and no less.
Yeah.
And make sure that it's always like straight across, for everything.
Yeah. I'm going to recommend you 2 books. Okay. You like books, right?
I don't read a lot of books, but yeah.
Maybe audiobook will help then. But I think I have 2 books that will help you with that stuff, with what you want to do. Because I think one of the most important things in business is knowing where you want to go. And obviously you already know that, right? Which is you want to franchise. Okay, let's say that's the big goal. Now you just got to work backwards and reverse engineer on how that's gonna become. How it's gonna happen essentially. Yeah. From where you're at now. And so, people forget books are very intelligent and that's how you learn. And so, I think the books I'm gonna recommend you is gonna help you with that on how you can do that. But that's insane. I think a franchise of Aguas Maria is a hit. Honestly, I think you would do very, very well. I'm kind of like working on it right now, in a sense where I have the store and I've reopened up the trailer again. Good, yeah. So that way people start to recognize like, oh, she has a store there, but she's also open in different locations. Yeah. And I want people to expect the same service, the same quality at the trailer that they get at the store. And I think that one of the things that has helped you a ton is your consistency with your Instagram. I don't have Facebook, so I don't have Facebook. Facebook's like way up here than Instagram, so you're missing out. I just got away from Facebook because I saw too many people cry about their life, and I'm like, go do something about it then. Yeah. Just don't cry about it on Facebook, just go. Yeah, I almost, there's been many times where I've wanted to delete my Facebook, and I don't use my Facebook as a ton anymore like I used to. Yeah. But the business page, that's where the business page. If you have a business page on Facebook, I'd say keep it. Yeah. Don't do that. That's honestly the only reason I haven't gotten rid of my personal Facebook is because of the business page. My business page just hit over 3,000 follows. Damn. That's good. Yeah. That's a lot. I know this morning I got a notification saying, would you like to share your stats? And it said that I had gotten 348 follows in the last 3 months. Oh, wow. So like almost 350, and Instagram took me, like I was at 300 for months and it wouldn't go over that. I barely made it over 1,000. I think I'm at like 1,200 right now. When you post your reel, do you post reels on your Instagram? I've just barely started to. Yeah, that's good. Do you use hashtags? No. You use hashtags. Those will help. I'm like, that's too modern for me. No, I get it. Yeah, but hashtags will help you with your reels on Instagram and your pictures too. Yeah. I do pictures all the time, and I don't do hashtags like rarely. Once in a while, I'm like, I see somebody, hashtag this, and I'll be like, hashtag Aguas Maria, because people will use it, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, but that's a good tip. Thank you. Yeah, I would do that because that's what I've noticed that has helped us a ton, especially with our views on our reels. We don't have that many followers, but our reels, I mean, we're hitting 500, 600,000 views per reel. Oh, wow. It's like, Jesus, why don't they follow? Like,
Yeah.
follow the damn
Yeah.
page, you know? If you're going to watch the real, follow, you're there already.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's insane how you've grown so fast.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me how you've went from 6 to 6, and then now you're literally at the point where you have 2 stores, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think that's important that you also say that you care about the customer service.
Right.
And that's something that I think a lot of businesses forget about.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like you keep it in mind a lot.
Well, honestly, it wasn't something I kept in mind much because I've always been me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never known anybody. I haven't been different ever. Yeah. And I know everywhere that I've worked, I've never had a job where they don't want to keep me.
Yeah.
You know, they've always like,
stay.
Stay. If I say, hey, I found a better opportunity, they ask me, like, what can we do to keep you? I've never had a problem with that. So I've never realized like that customer service is
it's a lot.
top notch. Like it can't be bought.
Mm-mm.
It's something that people are born with it, and there's people that don't have it at all.
Yeah.
And
I know a few. I had some encounters yesterday, right, babe, at work. Mother.
Yeah, it's sad, honestly, that like it's not something. I wish it was learned easier.
Yes.
Because I'm running into that problem a lot lately, with having the store. When I opened the store, I've gotten a lot of comments, negative feedback a lot lately, and it hurts me.
But is it based on the employees?
Yes.
Okay, so then I have a strategy for you.
Yes.
I'll give that to you after this.
I think my partner right now, he's talked to me a lot about it. He said something to me when we first started talking, like, Maria, the people come here to see you. Mm-hmm. They like your drinks are great, but they come to see you. And I laughed and I said, have you seen how many people walking through the store? How many of those were guys? I said 90% of my customers are women. 10% are men, and they either come with their wife or with their girlfriend, or they come to get a drink for their significant other. I'm like, they don't come to see me. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. They come to see you. They come to see how you make them feel. Right. They come to see how you treat them. They come for you. I can tell. He is.
Shout out, dude. You're a good guy, man.
He said, they come for the customer service that you give them, not just your aguas. And that has stuck with me because, especially right now, going through like the last few weeks, I'm glad that the people that have told me and came to me and confided in me, the experience that they have received at my store when I'm not there, I'm glad that they've been able to tell me these things, because I don't know if I would have the strength to be like, hey, I went to your store the other day and your employees didn't treat me as well as you did. Yeah. So, or they didn't smile. I get that a lot. Like, they didn't smile. We don't get offered samples. We didn't even know you had this, or we don't get offered all the options, or when you're there, you treat us good. You go above and beyond where the person that helped us did not. And that, like, it hurts. And that's when I was a big eye opener. Like, your employees, you have to be picky with who you choose.
Yes, it can't just be a friend or anyone from the street.
You can't just find somebody to fill a spot.
Yeah.
And I'm working on that right now.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, because that's a big one for sure, I'd say. It's just, it's a lot. It's weird. Businesses are like that. That's a business, I mean, you deal with it and you just figure out what to do next. But good things that there's books that can help you with that. And I have another book, actually. So I'm going to give you 3.
Okay.
I'm going to give it to you right now.
Okay.
The first one is called The Go-Giver.
Okay.
Okay. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I have.
Okay. The Go-Giver will teach you a ton about just laws of life, essentially, but in the business mindset. So it's going to be really good. It's short, 200 pages. The second one is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that will teach you how to guide your employees, how to be better with people and customer service. And they'll teach you how to work with them too. where they, some employees can be like, oh, how do you tell me what to do, blah, blah. But you're like, hey, this is like why. And then the third one is called The Body Keeps Score. That one's more of it's more like of a scientific book. It's boring, but it'll teach you a ton about how to express yourself towards people in a very healthy way where they can understand you, but you can also protect yourself from that.
Okay.
So, when people come to you with, negative feedback, although it's great and all, you don't want to get yourself hurt and put down, right?
Yeah.
Because that can happen sometimes. But that one will teach you how to manage all that. So those are the 3 books I recommend.
Well, thank you.
God, I feel like I'm a library.
No, it's good. Any business owner, honestly, that it's a successful business owners or successful people that I've talked to always recommend books.
Yeah.
There's a few I have. I'm like, I never find time to read it. But yes, I have a lot of time to read because I'm scrolling through TikTok or
That's where time
or
goes.
Instagram or Facebook, and I have time for that, but I don't have time. I always say I don't have time to read a book, but there's always time.
Yeah.
You always find time.
Yeah, those books I think would help you a ton. So that's my recommendation. But anyways, to end it off, Maria, excuse me, any last things you kind of want to just say? Mic is yours.
Well, I don't know how soon the podcast is going to come out, but
Wednesday.
on the Wednesday. Okay, perfect. On Thursday, I'm going to be celebrating my 1-year anniversary at the store at 3192 South 25th East here in Idaho Falls. I will be doing a big event next to LK Realty. Leo Cervantes, he's helped me out a lot and been a great support. And so we're going to throw a big party and hopefully a block party. We're getting it all situated and making sure it's okay with all the neighbors. T-Mobile wants to be in. Jimmy John's is going to be in. Pelonas is going to be in Garcia. So, hey, come over and have some fun and come eat and drink. And we're going to have bouncy house and all that good stuff. And I'm open till 7 o'clock because I know that people, even though I open till 6, a lot of people say, I still get off at 6 and I can't make it. So 7 o'clock.
There you go. 7 o'clock.
So yeah. And you'll get to dunk me in the tank.
That's going to be fun.
So yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. To me, we went a lot more towards the emotional side, I feel like, but that's okay. I think it was a great podcast. Thank you for coming. I really do appreciate it. I hope you had fun.
Yes.
And, yeah, guys, thank you guys. If you want to just say your Instagrams, your ads, things like that.
Yeah, so on Instagram, at quiero_aguas, Aguas Maria. And then for Facebook, it's Aguas Maria. And yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you again. Thank you, Maria, again. And yeah, have a great day. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.